Okay, good evening, ladies and gentlemen, and welcome to this evening's meeting of the Planning Committee, Thursday, 24th of July, 2025. I'm Caleb Tomlinson, I'm the chair of the committee, and I am the councillor for Bamber Bridge West. Committee members and members of the public are reminded that this meeting is being streamed live to YouTube. If you're attending the meeting because you're a member of the public and you wish to speak, when I ask you, you can come up to the table here, press the speak button, just let us know who you are, and you've got 4 minutes to make your presentations. Voting will be undertaken by our legal secretary, Liz, once complete. If you have mobile phones with you this evening, please, can you put them onto silent or switch them off, whichever you prefer. We're not anticipating a fire alarm this evening. So if the fire alarm does go off, the fire escape is behind you and we'll meet on the car park. Okay, if I can now ask everyone to introduce themselves, starting with the young lady on my left.
Hi, I'm Elizabeth Walsh. I'm the Legal Services Team Leader.
Ben Story, Democratic Service Officer.
Good evening, Councillor Ange Turner, elected member for Broadoak, Penwitham.
Chris Lomax, Walton Dale East.
Good evening, Councillor Phil Smith, and I represent New Longton and Hutton East.
Peter Gabbett, Councillor for Lostock Hall.
Councillor John Rainsbury, Councillor for Hoole.
Councillor Peter Pillinger, representing Buckshaw and Worden.
Councillor Hayden Williams, representing Leyland Central.
Councillor Damien Bretherton, representing Walton Dale West.
Councillor Elaine Stringfellow, representing Lostock Hall Ward.
Good evening, Chris Sowerby, Planning Officer.
Good evening, Fiona Hope, Planning Officer.
Good evening, Lisa Mathewson, Planning Officer.
Good evening, Deborah Roberts, Development Management Team Leader.
Good evening, Elizabeth Thornber, Head of Planning and Enforcement.
Okay, great. Thanks, everyone. We have had apologies from Councillor Mary Green, who has been substituted by Councillor Damien Bretherton, and from Councillor Peter Mullinor, who has been substituted by Councillor John Rainsbury. So thank you very much for that, gentlemen, this evening. Okay, agenda item 3, do we have any declarations of interest on tonight's meeting? No. I have read the minutes of the last meeting on the 26th of June and I agree with them. Can I have a seconder, please? Thank you, Councillor Stringfellow. Could we go to the electronic vote? If you weren't here, you must abstain. Okay.
So they,
Are we all done?
those minutes have been approved.
Elizabeth, do we have any appeal decisions this evening?
We do. We do, Chair. We do have one appeal which was dismissed at 25 Smithy Lane in Muchhool. That was for the erection of a new dwelling and access off land near 25 Smithy Lane. The appeal was dismissed and the reasons given were that whilst the inspector found that the adequate living conditions would be created for future residents, he also found that the scheme would harm the living conditions of neighbours and would have a harmful effect on the character and appearance of the area. Those shortcomings draw the proposal into conflict with the development plan as a whole, and therefore, including the personal circumstances of the appellant, he has decided to dismiss the appeal. Thank you, Chair. That is good news.
Yeah, great news. Thanks very much for that. All right, let's move on to item number 6 this evening. This is Enterprise Building, Holme Road, Bamber Bridge. And Mr. Chris Sowerby is going to introduce this item. Over to you, Chris.
Thank you, Chair. The application relates to a broadly rectangular 1.5 hectare site located off Curedon Way in Bamber Bridge. The site is a former United Utilities depot and comprises of an office, workshop and large yard area. To the north is a Matalan store with Lancashire County Council depot to the rear. To the south is an Aldi supermarket, and actually within the site, you can see my pointer there. There's 3 residential properties, 150 metres from the site boundary. The application site is within an area of land designated under policy B4 of the local plan, which is for commercial and employment site at Curedon Way. The existing development is accessed off 2 points onto Curedon Way, with the photo being of the northern access point. Palisade fencing is present along the site boundary. This would be removed as part of the proposed development. Is my microphone still on? This is the view northwards along Curedon Way. Outline consent was previously granted for a mixed-use development in 2012, which included retail, office, industrial and storage and leisure uses, as shown on the slide currently on display. This permission remains extant as a result of a substantive start on the development. Planning permission is sought for the erection of a commercial development comprising of 50 flexible office, industrial, storage, distribution and trade counter uses, together with a new access onto Curedon Way following the demolition of existing buildings. The proposed redevelopment of the site accords with the requirements of policy B4, which allows for office, retail, employment and leisure uses. The units range from 72 square metres to 893 square metres. Across the site, 186 allocated car parking spaces are proposed, together with cycle storage. Landscape planting is proposed in the form of hedgerow, shrub and ornamental tree planting along the northern and eastern boundaries, in addition to small pockets of landscaping throughout the site. The proposed buildings range from 5.3 metres to 10.6 metres in height and would all be constructed of a similar design. External elevations are to be formed from a mixture of buff brick, light and dark profile sheet cladding and composite timber effect cladding. The application is subject to mandatory BNG legislation, with the applicant opting to purchase the necessary credits from a Habitat Bank provider. This provision can be secured through the imposition of a planning condition. There are no objections to the proposal from any statutory consultees, and the application accords with the relevant planning policies. For these reasons and those contained within the report, the application is recommended for approval subject to the imposition of conditions. Thank you, Chair.
Okay, thanks for that, Chris. We have nobody wishing to speak on this. Haven't got the applicant, no objections. So, Councillor Smith.
Yes, thank you, Chair. I will immediately propose approval. I think it's something that we know we're desperately short of this type of business accommodation. But I would like to propose a small amendment along with that approval, and that's the conditions, condition number 16, which restricts the hours of operation, which seems crazy to me. We're building an industrial estate and then saying, well, you can't open on a Sunday, which seems absolutely ridiculous. So I'd like to propose Sunday opening times. It's right opposite Sainsbury's. They're open on a Sunday. Aldi next door open on a Sunday. Matalan are open on a Sunday. The other businesses are all open on a Sunday. Why restrict them? It just does not make sense. Even if it's just restricted to maybe the shop opening hours, if you like, from 10 till 4 or whatever they open. But I really wouldn't like to see business restricted to not opening Sundays. And some of them will have retail outlets as well. So, but with that, Chair, I would obviously I'd like to hear what the officers have to say about that, but I would like to propose approval.
Chris, do you want to come back on that? Condition 16, open hours.
Yeah, thank you, Chad. So I'll just get the screen up again. Yes, so the reason that Condition 16 has been recommended by our environmental health officer is it's because of the 3 residential properties, which I'm just circling there. So the application, it's a flexible use comprising of a number of different commercial uses, some of which would be fairly quiet and innocuous. Some of the uses proposed are general industrial, which have the potential to be noisier. So the condition 16 isn't necessarily to prevent any opening on a Sunday. It's to allow the local planning authority to retain control over what uses and in what units we may wish to relax that by way of a variation of condition application in the future. I think that the environmental health officers, they had particular concerns about this large block here, which comprises of 2 units and a yard, and that was the shortest distance to the residential, which is, it's got an intervening depot, but the residential is probably roughly where that red dot is there, 50 metres away. So there's particular concern from Environment Health in respect of those what end users were going to go into that building. Probably less of a concern in regards to the wider site. That's the reason why that condition was recommended. Thank you, Chair.
Right, just as a point of clarification, none of these are earmarked for retail, are they?
No, the retail is on the previously extant permission, so they can still build that out if they wish, but this application does not include any retail.
Councillor Smith, do you want to come back on that?
Yeah, not retail shopping, but retail open for various different things. We'll come back on that. Well, that plan really doesn't show the true distance between the housing and the building. The other one does, between what is on the delineated line at the back of the development there. There's a business in between, APG Domestic Services, who have quite a large building there which is remaining. There's another building next to that which is remaining, and there's a car park between it. So I just don't understand not being able to open on a Sunday. It certainly restricts the businesses that will go in there on a Sunday. But what it actually says here is the premises shall not be used at any time on a Sunday or bank holiday, and I think that's far too strong. I would suggest, that, as I say, opening hours. I think it's quite appropriate on what is a commercial development, Chair.
Okay, thanks, Councillor Smith. Councillor Williams.
Thank you, Chair. I tend to agree with Councillor Smith on this. There is a massive separation distance between these three houses. It goes through a car park and it's the back of the estate, and the activity on that potential building in that corner, the activity will be at the front of the building. There's the sound screening. If there is any industrial activity, will be contained inside the building as well. And the whole area, it's an area that's going to provide lots of jobs, and that's the type of thing that we're actually looking to promote. We are pro-business in this council as far as we can get it. This is an ideal site to do that, and this type of unit we are screaming for. If the size of unit is really marketable, providing the opening hours or at times when people can use them. So I'm happy to second Councillor Smith's proposal with the amendment that we increase the open hours. Even if we match Saturday's opening hours, 9 till 5.
Well, let me just get this straight, Councillor Williams, and I won't hold it against you. Did you just say you agreed with Councillor Smith?
There are many things we agree and disagree. We may disagree on, but disagree and agree on. But this step, I agree with Councillor Smith.
So we're going to. With this you want approval with the amendment to the condition of opening times on Sunday. Okay.
Correct.
Councillor Pillinger, you wanted to come in.
I oppose the amendments.
Sorry, you oppose the amendment, Councillor Pillinger. Okay, and Councillor Bretherton, you're going to throw some petrol on this fire, aren't you?
Well, I agree with what Councillor Smith and Councillor Williams were saying. I think it's very important in the modern world with 7 days a week business, and especially in an office environment, for example, offices can get very busy. And sometimes people might want to just go in on a Sunday where it's quiet and get on with catching up the things that they've missed out on. And Sunday mornings are a perfect opportunity to do that, and that will be very quiet. If anything, if the concern is with the general industrial side, then it possibly restrict that, but certainly not the rest of the site. I'd be very much in favour. Okay.
Do you want to come in now, Chris, or?
Sorry, I just wanted to seek a bit of clarity in terms of what hours we are seeking. Is it to match Saturdays?
That's up to the committee to decide. Do you want these units to be open on a Sunday the same hours as Sainsbury's?
That would make sense to me, that Sainsbury's or whatever, and they're normally 10 till 4 or whatever they are, but that would make sense to me. I would have them open 24 hours, but I mean, that would just make sense for the application. Thank you.
I will bring in an expert in the field, Elizabeth Thornber.
Hi, I just wanted to clarify to members the uses that have been applied for there are classes E, Part G, B2 and B8, and the B2 uses, just to highlight, is general industrial. So that could be potentially uses like panel beaters, MLTs, tyre fitters, paint sprayers, that kind of use. So there is noise associated with that, and members need to be aware. That's the reason that Environmental Health have put that condition on for Sundays.
All right, thanks, Elizabeth. Councillor Pillinger, you wanted.
I'm content with it as it's written.
Without the amendment.
Seconded, Chair.
So I'm going to have to take that. So the proposal and the second, I'm going to have to take that as an amendment, and I'm going to have to take yours. No, I'm not, am I? No. Yeah, I'll fetch in another expert.
Just to clarify, if you do not agree with the amendment that's been proposed and seconded, please do not vote in favour of that amendment, so we don't need to take another amendment on that. So just to be clear, if you do not agree with the amendment, you vote against that amendment.
Right, do we have any other proposals then? No, okay, so we're going to go to the vote on approval with amendment to condition 16, which is the opening hours on a Sunday. So let's go to the vote. If you're in favour of with the amendment, vote in favour. If not, vote against.
So members have voted in favour of the amendment, subject to an amendment of condition 16. Is that right? Yeah.
I think we said the hours they could open would coincide with Sainsbury's opening time. Not on a Sunday, it's not.
10 till 5. Okay.
On a Sunday, it's 10 till 4. Then again, it might be 9 till 10 to do your perusing and then 10 till 4 to do your buying. I don't know. It's just... Right, okay. Are we all happy with that? Yes. Okay. Moving on to item on the agenda number 7, the Beaches, Town Lane, Much Hoole. Fiona, if you would like to present this item, please.
Okay, thank you, Chair.
If I may, Fiona, are you all right to get a bit closer to the microphone? Because I struggled then.
Yeah. Is that okay? Okay, this is a retrospective application and relates to a 600 square metre piece of land at the northwest rear corner of a field in the Greenbelt, off Town Lane in Much Hoole. The land has permission for domestic equestrian use since 1994, associated with an adjacent property called Fernbank, which is under the ownership of the applicant. This piece of land, as outlined in red, is now an area of hard standing in use for a tennis court and a helicopter landing area or a helipad. The application also includes a 3 metre high green mesh fence to the rear and part of the side of the hard standing area. The helicopter use does not require planning permission, as with any private vehicle, and instead is regulated by the Civil Aviation Authority, but the impact to amenity with regards to noise from the helicopter use can be considered. So these photos are just taken from Town Lane to demonstrate that the area of hard standing is not visible from the street. It's about 97 metres back from the street. The blue arrow just shows it's behind, various planting and buildings right at the rear of the site. And it's the use of the hard standing area is in use associated with the applicant's home, which is the Beaches. And you can see the Beaches dwelling house just to the left of the photograph there. So this photo shows the area of tarmac in different shades of green with markings for a tennis court and the green mesh fence to the rear and side. Does quite a good job, I think, of being visible through it. So it is there. I'll show you on a different slide if you can't see it clearly. The fence is to prevent tennis balls from entering the field at the rear. The fence is not needed elsewhere because balls can be retrieved with ease from the side and the front, which is also in the applicant's ownership. So the left side is the recently approved large outbuilding, which falls within the residential curtilage of the Beaches, which is used to store applicants' personal vehicle collections and includes room for the helicopter when required. So some more photos of the hard standing area and the fence and the neighbouring dwelling house, Barn Meadow, which is the white building just in that top left-hand photo. You can be seen just looking to the south, the east. Regarding the noise associated with the helicopter use, environmental health comments are in section 6 of the report, and it is accepted that there will be a lot of noise during takeoff and landing, which could cause disamenity to nearby properties. Environmental health have no objection, subject to condition, to limit the use and times of the helipad for helicopter flight to 1 takeoff and 1 landing per day, and no use on a Sunday or a bank holiday. The applicant has agreed to this condition, and in addition to this, will only use the helipad for helicopter flight for a maximum number of 40 days per calendar year, and the recommended condition can be seen in section 13 of the report. So there's some further photos of the site. So the wider field is still in equestrian use. This area at the back of hard standing is about 14% of the overall size of the field. And there's still several paddocks and stables to the front. You can see the fence there, a little bit close-up photograph there at the back. Now, it is in the green belt, but they're not inappropriate development under the NPPF exception, paragraph 154B for outdoor recreation and paragraph 154H for engineering operations and the change of use, provided that the openness of the green belt is preserved. It is considered that with the development being at ground level and the site area relatively small, and with the fence being a mesh material, views are preserved beyond, and impact to the openness of the green belt is minimal. Now, albeit the area of hard standing is not visible from the street, there is a public right-of-way that runs north to south through the edge of the field, approximately 40 metres to the east. There are intervening paddocks and fences to offer screening. Now, Ecology have no objection and comment that the lad would have limited ecological value anyway with being in equestrian use previously. But nevertheless, to assist with further screening of the development from the public right-of-way, the applicant will plant 70 metres of native hedgerow and 10 native trees adjacent to the public right-of-way as shown in the computer-generated image at the bottom. And there is a recommended condition in section 13 as well to secure the proposed landscaping. So in conclusion, the proposed site is within the green belt, but the hard standing area and fence would not be considered as an appropriate development in the green belt as per the NPPF exception at paragraph 154, and would remain a domestic and personal use associated with the residential property, the beaches. The disamenity caused by the noise from the helicopter can be mitigated, limiting the amount of times and use of the helipad as outlined in condition 2. There are no statutory objections, and there have been 2 representations received, with 1 in objection and 1 in support from the Parish Council as outlined in section 7 of the report. The application is policy compliant and is recommended for approval subject to conditions. Thank you, Chair.
Okay, thanks very much for that presentation, Fiona. We do have 1 member of the public wishing to speak in objection, Mr. Richard Gelder. Good evening, Mr. Gelder. If you press the speak button, and you do have 4 minutes and you will be timed, okay? Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. This application is retrospective and aims to change the use of Greenbelt without any attempt to discuss the future use with neither South Ribble nor residents before the work has started. The helicopter takeoff and landing is adjacent to a public footpath, as already been stated. The safety of users of the footpath is being totally ignored in the circumstances of helicopter use nearby, it being less than 100 metres. Flight paths generally pass extremely close to Turnpike Close, Town Lane and Northern Avenue. If anything goes wrong, the residents there will be the ones to suffer. On 3 occasions this year, a helicopter using the site has passed low of the Town Lane, barely above the trees, causing massive disturbance. 12 months ago, residents complained to the Parish Council to no avail, but were put off by a council whose members don't live near the flight path. The helicopter is extremely noisy and on occasion sits on the tarmac for some time, presumably warming up the engine. Helicopters using the site have already exceeded the informal 28-day rule for casual use of a landing site. The planning application is for approximately 40 days use of the site. What protection do residents have against additional usage once planning permission is given, or for the applicant returning to planning with a further extension as his needs change? This is Greenbelt land in a part of near rural Lancashire. It used to be a pleasant, quiet area. Without planning permission, the beaches will be restricted to the 28-day rule for private helicopter use. This compromise should be adequate for the alleged part-time use of the site and give some peace of mind for the residents who live near this site, this part of rural Lancashire. Thank you, Mr. Chairman.
Okay, thanks very much for your presentation, Mr. Gelder. Right, we do have the ward councillor who called in the application, Councillor Watson. Good evening, councillor. Okay, you have 4 minutes, all right?
Thanks, Councillor Tomlinson. So I called this in due to the potential noise issues that are obviously inherent with a helicopter use. I'm aware of the conditions, including the 40-day use and so on. I, however, do still have potential worries with unnecessary hovering of the helicopter over private properties. And I'm aware of the parish council's view and them supporting it, but I also wanted to enable people in my community to attend this meeting and speak and just have their opinions heard.
Okay, thanks very much for that, Connor. Thank you. Okay, we do have the applicant with us this evening, Mr. Paul Fox. Would you like to address committee, Paul?
Good evening. I'm the owner, the applicant, and the pilot of the aircraft. I just would like to say that, you know, the conditions which have been put round the planning application, dead happy to work to. Going back a few months, there was a neighbour in number 12 Town Lane who brought an issue up with the parish council and said, you know, the helicopter's coming over our land. We've got horses. I get that. We have horses as well. Can you go out at different times? Did that straight away. All the neighbours around our property as well were happy, you know, sort of to support that. I hope you go forward with a recommendation of the planning officer to actually go for this approval. And if you've got any questions around the flight paths, the safety of the aircraft, my experience as a pilot, and any accusations either hovering over other people's properties, which I can assure you I can't do because the CAA would take my licence off me, and I've been a pilot since 2008. Please, ask me any questions.
Okay, thanks very much for that, Mr. Fox. Thanks very much. Okay, I will now open up to committee. Councillor Turner.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. Just one thing I wanted to cover off with regards to the restrictions, the takeoff. So am I right in saying that the applicant's friends can't come and land and take off, and that constitutes one use per aircraft? So we've got the equivalent of the red arrows maybe landing, red 1 to red 10 or whatever. But the thing is, the condition, I just thought it seemed a bit ambiguous. It's just the owner's helicopter and not friends of or colleagues. Thank you.
Thank you. So it's one takeoff and one landing per day for that helipad use. So whether it would be the owners, I presume it would only be the owners. I'm sure he might answer that question. But even if it wasn't, if it was a different helicopter, that would mean he couldn't. It's one takeoff, one landing per day on that helipad. So it's only one, not per helicopter. It's for the helipad. Yeah.
Anything else, Councillor Turner? No.
Sorry, Chair, no. Thank you for letting me speak.
Councillor Gabbert.
Thank you, Chair. I don't see any real reasons to not go with officer recommendations. I'm not too sure on the reason it was called in, but I'm happy to propose we go with officer recommendations, Chair.
Okay, thanks, Councillor Gabbert. Councillor Pillinger. Seconded, sir. I think you have to say, I second approval.
I second approval, sir.
Not wishing to be a pedant, but I've got a legal expert sat by my side, Councillor Smith.
Could I just ask a question on lighting, which doesn't seem to be anything in the report, I don't think, about lighting, or if it is, I can't see it. Whether there's any lighting around the helipad itself, or whether the helicopter itself has lighting on it. Just looking at the hours and times, I don't have any particular issue with the report itself, but 800 hours to 1900 hours Monday to Friday, it's absolutely pitch black at 4 o'clock in the winter. I'm just wondering about sort of daylight hours or something like that. Chair, that's all. I don't know whether officers or indeed the applicant could confirm anything on that. Thank you.
Yeah, I'll actually allow Mr. Fox to answer that, because I don't think Fiona will be able to answer, will you?
No, I think there is no lighting of the helipad. There wouldn't be able to be with it being in the green belt either, for issues with that. But I'm sure Mr. Fox can answer any questions about landing times in darkness. Thank you.
Yeah, the aircraft's fitted with a red strobe light. That has to be on day and night. It also has positioning lights, so a green and a red on the tail on both sides. The helipad itself has got nothing on the floor. My fencing round it, we have some, solar lights, which you can see. There is 3 spotlights on the front of the building, but as a pilot, I'm not night rated, so I don't actually fly in the dark, and have no intention of doing either, to be fair. Okay, thank you.
Okay, you're all right with that, Councillor Smith?
Yeah, I'm fine with that. It would be nice to see it conditioned that it shouldn't fly in the dark, but
you just said he didn't fly in the dark.
I don't blame him, to be quite honest. But I'm, I suppose, quite used to helicopters flying over our house. The police one flies over on I won't say daily basis, but sometimes it's 2 or 3 times a day. But and it is noisy for a few minutes, and then it goes. But it's there to do a job, isn't it? So yeah, okay, thanks, yeah.
Thanks, Councillor Smith. I hope the police helicopters aren't looking for you. Councillor Turner, did you want to come back in or not? Okay, Councillor Bretherton.
Yeah, thank you, Chair. It was just maybe to satisfy any nearby residents about the safety issues. I just wondered, does a helicopter have an MOT, and how often does it get serviced? How safe is it? Maybe we could get some feedback. Thank you.
So in regards to the safety of the aircraft, my aircraft runs on an AOC, which is a air operator certificate, because I use it for business use for myself, getting, around the country and what have you. So it runs on the G reg, which means it's a UK registered machine, which is governed by the Civil Aviation Authority. So it has an annual, which includes in the title, every 12 months. But then it has a series of services every so many hours. So every 25 hours, it has to go into UCAS at Blackpool, which is they're a certified maintenance provider for Augusta 109s. They're type approved to do that. You can't just rock up with it and say, look after my aircraft. We've got to be type approved. There is a full maintenance schedule, which we have to pay for every year. So it's 25 hours, 50 hours. It has another one at 100 hours. It's just come out of service last week. It's had a 200-hour inspection. And then transmission is done every 2 years, the tail rotor transmission. So there is a series of ongoing maintenance on it all the time. And it's a twin-engined aircraft as well. So the most dangerous part of flying is your takeoff and your landings. So you have what's called LDP and TDP, landing decision point, takeoff decision point. So if I come up into the hover at 30 foot, transition away, at more than 30 foot, at more than 60 knots, you carry on and it'll fly off, and it'll fly off with one engine. Yeah, and if you're under that, then you put it back on the ground, which you can do. And the way the helipad is, the land around me, which I own in our ownership, we have another 8 acres next to us as well. If ever that did happen, yeah, I'm landing back on the ground in my own. In my own sort of land holding, not over any houses, because I don't come in over any houses. I've got fields on both sides of me. So, aircraft, it's a twin engine aircraft. The inspection, the servicing, the maintenance regime is, you know, it's there. You cannot avoid it. Every flight is logged. So the question about, you know, if you come in and out more than once a day or 40 times a year, you know, there's an app there, flight data, and you can see the Sky Demon as well. You can see all the route of every aircraft and which way they've gone in and out of places. So everything that is done with that aircraft, you know, is traceable through the tech logs, through the GPS on it, through the flight data apps and the Sky Demon app. So that's traceable. And I say all the maintenance is there as well. Thank you.
Okay, thanks for that, Mr. Fox. Now you know how complicated it is. Councillor Bretherton, I presume you're not going to buy one.
No, but thank you very much, Mr. Fox. You've satisfied myself and I'm sure the residents as well that it's a very safe machine that you've got, and it has very regular, more than a car, servicing. So I imagine it is extremely safe, and the residents shouldn't need to worry at all. Thank you.
Okay, thanks. All right, Mr. Right. So I've had a proposal from approval from Councillor Gabbert, seconded by Councillor Pillinger. Do I have any other proposals? No. Okay. Can we then go to the electronic vote? This is for the officer's recommendation for approval with conditions.
And members have voted in favour of officer recommendations subject to conditions.
Okay, ladies and gents, if you were here for that application, we do have more business this evening, so thanks for your attendance. Thank you. Okay, if we can move swiftly on to agenda number 8, which is the Rose of Farrington, 59 Stanleyfield Lane. Debbie, if you would like to introduce this item. Thank you.
Okay, thank you, Chair. The application refers to Rose of Farrington pub, which is the corner of Stanleyfield Lane and Crown Street in Farrington. It's a densely populated, primarily residential location. Planning permission was granted in 2022 for a change of use and extension of the pub to provide 10 apartments. It was a pub with a 5-bedroom manager's flat, so we've got a net gain of 9 units. Following an enforcement complaint in February 2025 about ongoing noise and poor construction management, it became clear that development had commenced without discharging the conditions that committee put on in 2022. Because the planning permission is dependent on discharge of those conditions and a substantive start being made within 3 years, the application actually expired. So the work was unauthorised and we started enforcement action. The first stage of that is to allow the applicant to regularise the situation if they can. That's what this application's for. The proposal, therefore, is for retrospective conversion of the partial retrospective conversion, because it's only half finished, of the Rose of Farrington to 10 apartments with a 2-storey red brick extension on the side, 2 rear dormers to allow for head height at the back, that's all for rooms in the roof space, and demolition of a small structure at the rear. There'll be a general cosmetic upgrade of the rest of the building. So you'd have 9 1-bed apartments and 1 2-bed apartment. The side car park would be retained and accessed off Crown Street. Parking on Rose Street is difficult, and historically residents and local businesses have used the car park, but there is sufficient parking for the proposed use so that the apartments would be self-contained. I'll explain that in a little bit more. The earlier permission also provided information that the financial viability of the business wasn't possible, that the business wasn't viable. He couldn't keep the business going. So we were satisfied with that. We had all that information. It was confidential, but we were satisfied with that loss of the pub. And the principle of development has been established for the loss of the public house. But this proposal prevents the property becoming vacant and open to vandalism and dereliction. So some photographs, I've used older photographs because they're clearer than the ones that I took. This is viewed from Stanleyfield Lane. The extension will be on the left-hand side here. I don't know if you can see my cursor. And the view from Rose Street. So there is a small car park with this fenced area, which will be a small amenity, waste storage and cycle storage space for future residents. And this is a view from Stanleyfield Lane down into Rose Street. The pub is on the right. Just one of what was the screened yard. It's still screened, but it's doesn't look like that anymore. Properties in the north you can see at such a distance. Special separation to and from properties on all sides is acceptable, and the scheme is policy compliant. We've had no statutory objections or comments from neighbours on this occasion. There have been some concerns about parking provision on the site. 2 points. The first is that, yes, the site has been used by local residents because Rose Street parking isn't great, but it is private land and the applicant's within his right to restrict that use. And the second is that whilst parking provision is substandard to the adopted standards, it's about 4 spaces short. Lancashire County Council was satisfied in 2021 that because of the sustainable location, it's near to a bus route, it's within easy walking distance of facilities and a town centre, that they were comfortable in 2021. A different engineer in 2025 has agreed the same. And condition 5 on the proposal is that there is cycle storage for each apartment. Now that aligns with the NPPF and adopted policy, which requires us to look at alternative travel modes than the private car. So on balance, we will go with approval, and that will be delegated to the chair of committee and the head of planning and enforcement, subject to a 106 agreement for a financial contribution towards public open space. Thank you, Chair.
Okay, thanks for your presentation, Debbie. And I always hate to correct people, but I must do this because in your presentation, you said photographs were taken from Rose Street. Crown Street. Okay, so if committee are aware, the photographs showed Crown Street and they showed the back of the X Rose and Crown from Crown Street. Rose Street is a little street that takes you to Farrington Primary School. That's Rose Street. We have one registered speaker this evening, and that is the ward councillor, Councillor Jackie Alty. Welcome to committee, Jackie. Sorry, Councillor Alty.
Thanks for letting me speak this evening. And can I just say a big thank you to the officers who spent a considerable amount of time responding to questions and providing some background context for me to then speak with other people. My name is Councillor Jackie Alty, and both I and Paul Wharton Hardman represent the ward of Farrington East, where the Rose of Farrington is situated. I made representation back in January 2022 on behalf of the residents who raised concerns about parking and the loss of local amenity. Given that planning permission was granted on that occasion, I'm not going to repeat those same concerns, though they do continue to be expressed. I have received representations of concern from residents, businesses and Farrington Parish councillors expressing concern about antisocial behaviour and an incident of arson when a subsequent arrest took place in April of this year. One of the concerns relates to, had the fire taken hold, the adjacent business could have been significantly impacted, and there have been a number of incidents where there have been youths gathering. So this relates to it when it's already been given planning permission and that had lapsed, and then we were waiting for this process to start up. So the concerns that are currently active are that the site be made secure in and out of working hours, and that be regularly monitored for episodes of ingress when construction isn't active. As I say, there have been incidents that have been logged with the police and damage has been caused in the past. And while I appreciate it's difficult to stop it entirely, a robust and secure site will be a deterrent. And if that could be formally part of the control mechanism. And the second area is you mentioned that the area is densely populated with vehicles. It is. It's a very tight area. It's the narrowest system of roads that I've come across, and it's sometimes very difficult to navigate one car throughout the one-way system and the two-way system that kind of interlock. So I would like to ask that any deliveries, service or products are arranged within the management plan for staggered deliveries rather than half a dozen trucks turning up at once with supplies. And if that could be incorporated, it would minimise the impact on residents. I don't think it's it will. I don't think it will settle those people who are still concerned about the issue of parking. And there have been some, as I say, quite narrow misses at times. But if those two areas could be addressed, then I know the residents, the businesses and Farrington Parish Council would be far more assured that the area is safe and that we can control the situation and manage it rather than wait for things to spiral out of control. Thank you very much for your time.
Okay, thanks very much, Councillor Alty. Just a bit of a history lesson. In May 2000, I purchased number 1 Crown Street, and the parking was absolutely awful then. Nothing's changed. So, an LCC, as usual, I've no comment to make on parking. Debbie, would you like to come back and tell us about the security arrangements you can put into place?
I would. That was very forceful, wasn't it? A few issues, antisocial behaviour and the fire. Yes, it's unfortunate that's happened, and it's unfortunate because of the circumstances of the planning permission. The gentleman who owns it was on site, he was constructing, he was doing what he was doing, and once these apartments are finished and occupied, that sort of thing will hopefully stop. Site security is a legal requirement from the Health and Safety Executive for a live site. This is secured, and we do have enforcement team monitoring it, but it isn't something we can enforce on. That's something the Health and Safety Executive will do. Deliveries, we've had a construction management statement, which one of the conditions ties to. It's quite strict because highways were involved in that. And as I've already mentioned, parking, highways have no objection. We've got to balance that with if this property went back to being a pub, and it is a big pub with a 5-bedroom manager's flat, would that be worse than 10 apartments? We have to balance that. We have to try for alternative modes of transport, which was why we've asked for cycle storage, and we try to get people on the buses and walking. It's a sustainable location, and highways are quite satisfied that there shouldn't be any harm more than the existing pub use. Thank you, Chair.
Okay, thanks very much, Debbie. It's never going to go back to a pub because it wasn't viable when it was one. So, okay, let's open this up to committee, please. Councillor Williams.
Before we start the conversation, I should have declared right at the very interest I'm a Farrington Parish councillor. Now that Councillor Alty's specified there were comments made by Farrington Parish, I'll sort of make it clear that I am a Farrington Parish councillor as well as a borough councillor. So to get that one out there to start with.
That holds no authority at this council.
Yeah, I just want to put that out there for the sake of clarity. Yeah, I do hold some of just some of the concerns around the construction management, but obviously they're tightened with condition. And obviously Councillor Rolty mentioned about deliveries of construction materials. I think condition 12 in this says no materials may be delivered outside the hours 8 till 5 Monday to Friday. Is there any way of just tying that down to one delivery or one delivery at one time? There's no way of tying that down.
The construction management plan that we've approved does include delivery requirements, where they can put the vehicles, where they can park, where they can reverse, that sort of thing. We've tried to tie down deliveries in the past, and whilst the applicant, who is the one who would be in breach of the condition, might want that to happen, when he's ordering stuff from Berries aren't going to take any notice of that, and it's virtually unenforceable. So we really try not to do that if we can get away with it. Thank you, Chair.
Yeah, in that case, obviously, this is just an extension of an existing permission that was already there, and it'll be very, very difficult to refuse it. So I'm quite happy to move that we approve this.
Okay, thanks, Councillor Williams. Councillor Lomax.
Just to say, I am happy to second that. Very happy to second that. More than happy. Is that enough, Liz?
Yes, that's fine.
Okay, thanks, Councillor Lomax. Councillor Smith.
Yeah, could I just ask a question about the construction management plan? And that's obviously not part of this, but has that actually been drawn up now, and have the officers agreed the construction management plan? Okay.
Yeah.
Some of the items, some of the mentioned by Councillor Rolty, are those in the construction management plan, or they're already in there?
Environmental Health have seen that, but I'm comfortable with the contents of it, knowing the site, but Environmental Health have agreed to it as well, which is why it's a compliance with the construction management plan condition rather than a provide one pre-commencement. Yeah. Thank you, Chair.
Okay, thank you.
Okay, so we've had a proposal for approval from Councillor Williams, seconded by Councillor Lomax. Do we have any other proposals? No? Okay, then let's vote on this with conditions for approval.
The members have voted in favour of officer recommendation, approval with conditions, with the decision to be delegated to the Chairman of Planning Committee and Head of Planning and Enforcement until completion of a legal agreement to secure public open space contributions.
Okay, thanks for that. Right, move on to item number 9 this evening, which isn't actually a planning application per se, not of ours anyway, but it's county asking for our views on Croston Road, 582. Get it, Jewel. Anyway, over to you, Fiona.
Lisa.
Sorry, Lisa.
Thank you, Chair. So as Chair's just identified, this application, we are just a consultee, and the Lancashire County Council are the determining authority who are currently processing this application for the reconfiguration of the Croston Road junction with the A582. So the views of our council are sought for the application because the application site's obviously within the borough. The application site itself relates to the existing double roundabout. So this is the existing site plan, which is up on the screen at the moment, which is at the junction of 6 other roads, namely Croston Road, the A582 Flensburg Way, A582 Farrington Road, Fiddler Lane and Centurion Way. In relation to the existing junction, there would be additional land acquisition which would be required outside of the control of Lancashire County Council to allow for the alteration to the road junctions. That's just an aerial image of the wider landscape there. So the majority of the site is located within the green belt, and it's also notified as an area of separation in the adopted South Ribble local plan. The road is identified as the 582 to the M65 link in the plan. So these are just some of the existing images of the roundabout taken from various locations. So the top left photograph, I think most of you were probably at committee when we've had previous applications last year for the existing access to Model Farm. So the northern part of Model Farm, where you've got the existing tree screening there, may be required for part of that land take as well, and similar on the northern side, sorry, of that road. Bottom left photograph, you've got the only TPO which is in the vicinity of the site, which is an existing oak tree, which can be retained with methodology required in terms of tree protection measures also. So this is the proposed site layout, which is up on the screen now. So the proposed upgrade will involve the removal of these roundabouts to be replaced by a series of new signalised T-junctions with a combined cycle track and the installation of 6 number Chicken crossings and the rerouting of Centurion Way. There's also going to be a diversion of the public right-of-way, construction of a water attenuation pond, which is labelled there on the southeast quadrant of the road, and will include mitigation such as acoustic fencing and ecology fencing also. There's going to be a temporary storage plant located further to the east with a compound area which would be temporary. The purpose of the upgrade is obviously to improve vehicle flows along the 582, which will be prioritised as a result of this, and improve speed and improved walkability across the junction also, because some of the roundabout junctions as existing do not have footpath connections, in particular outside the Model Farm site and to the north and south of the road there, where there's a poor layout as existing. In terms of the principle of development, the adopted plan refers to the Crossborough Link Road within the infrastructure objectives, and the adopted core strategy lists improving the 582 and linkages as one of the objectives as well within the travel section. In terms of the green belt on which the site sits, it does meet one of the exceptions listed in the local transport infrastructure under the NPPF exception under paragraph 154 part H, criterion 3 of that. Based on the proposals, it's considered that it would not be inappropriate development in the green belt. Neither it's considered it would have a significant impact on the area of separation and the aims of the policies within the core strategy and the local plan. Obviously, we have got the majority of the land take-up is obviously in highways land as existing as well. So therefore, the principle of development satisfied is acceptable. Stated before that the TPO oak tree has been retained. Just one point, I think in the report, the LLFA objection has been removed because there's ongoing dialogue between technical officers at the authority and statutory consultees. So that objection has been removed. So the recommendation to Planning Committee, just as a reminder, we're not determining the application tonight where a statutory consultee is landowner. So principle is acceptable, and there's a number of points which is listed in paragraph 9.2 of the recommendation of the report. We will obviously require assurances from LCC Highways, who have provided an initial response but do have some concerns, which the applicant will be coming back on. Also public right-of-way officers, the Environment Agency and UU, to make sure they're supportive of as the scheme as it proposes and proceeds to determination by Lancashire County Council. And also a point that we get authority for the delegated to the Head of Planning and Enforcement to submit any further comments in respect of the application if any further information is provided to us. Thank you, Chair.
Thank you, Lisa. I got it right that time. I'm just wondering, because I'm a resident of Croston Road, do I need to declare an interest and leave the meeting? Or can I? I mean, my comment would be any improvement on that junction would be greatly appreciated. That's my only comment, as long as it's safe for residents.
Yeah. Oh.
think I got in just a tiny second before Councillor Smith, just a microsecond before. Like any improvement in this road is welcome, but the big elephant in the room, I think, is the fact of this is, and what this council's pressed for a number of years, and the MPs past and present, is the A582 must be dualled from the motorway junction all the way down into Preston, and that's the top and bottom of it. That road needs dual carriageway all the way through for many reasons which I'll not go into. At the consultation regarding this, it was asked many times: is what extra throughput can this junction actually offer over than the existing junction for the money that's been spent and the disruption the local residents will face whilst this has been built out? And nobody can give, and I don't think anybody can give an answer as to the extra throughput this will actually offer, but until we get satisfactory. Because as a council, the residents get a satisfactory answer to that as to the extra throughput these junctions will allow down the A582, then doing this, whilst it's a safety improvement, perceived safety improvement, I think is utterly pointless. I do have concerns for the residents of Croston Road trying to get from Croston Road south to Croston Road north. Getting across that junction in a vehicle does look a lot more complicated than it is now. I can't see how. I can roughly see how we can go from south to north, but I can't really see how we can go from north to south that well. I don't see how that's designed, or whether like common with other junctions like St Catherine's, you have to go to the roundabout and go around and come back round again. I don't quite see how that works and how that's been built in. But those are effectively the only concerns I have, is just that effectively the amount of money that's been spent will probably be better on dualling this. And I really don't understand how the junction works north to south.
Councillor Smith.
Thank you, Chair. I've made my feelings known to County Council. I went to two of the public meetings and had discussions. But I agree with you. Anything's better than nothing, Chair, to be quite honest. It's very difficult to see the Croston Road crossing. It looks to me as though there's 8 lanes of traffic, some turning left, some turning right, some going straight on. It looks really complicated. In some ways, do we trust the experts? I suppose we have to trust the experts. And that it's better than nothing, and just hope that the next bit will be over the West Coast Main Line and we'll dual the rest of it up. But it's very difficult to see how it's going to improve it. But I do look forward to going through that traffic area at 40 miles an hour. It'll be really great. Thank you, Chair.
You can actually do that now, Councillor Smith. You just have to wait till about 11:30 at night. Councillor Pillinger.
Yes, Chair. It does look complicated. I have come as close to an accident on these double roundabouts as I've come anywhere in the area. If you're coming straight down the 582 and heading towards the recycling depot, you've immediately got to get into the right-hand lane. It's fairly dangerous as it is. It does need improvement. I was one of those who asked, by how much will the flow be increased? To be told, oh, we don't know that, which does rather worry me. And when I look at the people coming out of Croston Road, either north or south, it all depends on the phasing of the traffic lights. Because if you were coming out of Croston Road going north, turning right to go into Croston Road going further north and going left, you would hope there would be no traffic stationary on the 582. But if there's traffic on the 582 stationary, are there going to be yellow boxes on here stopping us, jamming up the whole thing? I just think if you've got the wrong phases on the traffic lights, the whole thing was just going to jam up. So I do have to trust the traffic engineers that this is going to be a proper computer controlled and phased traffic light system on it, because if it isn't, it won't be an improvement.
I'm told these people are experts. Councillor Turner.
Thank you, Chair. Am I right in assuming that obviously we're having the cricket pitch and the whole cricket enterprise system buildings being built, and I would imagine that this scheme will afford itself to the extra traffic that's going to be generated as a result of that. Well, you know, I think some traffic will be added on to that. The other point I wanted to make was that there are zebra crossings there too, which aren't there at the moment at all, aren't there? Did you say for people to cross over? Was it 6? Thank you.
Yeah, through your chair. Yeah, that's correct. There's going to be 6 signalised junctions within there. So you can see where you can see the vertical lines. That's where the junctions are. So obviously priority is to be given to the A582, but there are signalised junctions on both Croston Road to the south and then further to the north as well.
Right. Sorry, Chair. Sorry, thank you.
I was just having. I will go on quick.
Sorry, Chair. I did note that in the in answer to Councillor Williams, they have announced, the government department, can't remember which one it is now, have announced that the dualling of the A582. It was in a government. It wasn't a government issue last week. I don't actually have it on me. I'm not sure how much they will be dualling the A582, but it's been announced as part of 50 other projects in the UK that they will dual the A582 in South Ribble. I've got the link to the government website that announced it last week. I can forward that on to you if you wish.
Councillor Smith.
Yes, yeah. I think it's agreed in principle, I think, because it's in all of the plans that everybody wants, not just us, but county as well, from the highways point of view. We just see it as a piece of the jigsaw. It'd be nice to see it all done at the same time, but that is just not going to happen. And it's a piece of the jigsaw which eventually, at some time, will link up together. It would not be done all in one go. But I think we just need to say, well, we look forward to it happening as soon as, and please let us know what's going to happen to the traffic while it's all being conducted. Might be a long cut through Leyland or something like that to get to the motorway. I don't know, but it's going to be a horrendous job. The cricket ground has been bad enough, to be quite honest, and there's been very little highway work there. But that's been bad enough on that particular road. So what this will be like, I don't know. But I think, to be quite honest, we're just going to have to grin and bear it and say, well, great, let's have it quick.
Yeah, I agree with you. I mean, any improvement is welcomed. Sorry, Councillor Turner. I wasn't I was looking at the attenuation pond, and I'm looking at that and I'm thinking, so I walk my dog there, and then I remembered there is a little puddle in the middle of that field when it's dry, but then when it's wet, there is an actual pond there. So sorry about that. I wasn't ignoring you. I was just daydreaming a bit. Are we all happy with that then? Have we written all those concerns down? Yes? Yeah. Okay, if we can just send our... Oh, we need to vote on whether we think we have made the comments that we just made. Okay. Sorry. Do we have... Well, I'll propose it. Can I have a second?
Second, Chair.
Are you seconding that we agree with what we just said? Is that all right?
In the report.
It's in the report. Okay, can we go for a vote on what we have just said that we agree with?
Members have voted in favour of officer's recommendation that the views as set out in the report are submitted to Lancashire County